こはひどいですよ。どんなひどいかっていうことは言ってみなければわかりませんがね。何しろ患者はのみとひらみのたかった腫れ物だらけ、臭くて猛獰な貧民ばかりだし。
Hi everyone, and welcome to Clips by Kurosawa, where we'll be watching and discussing Japanese writer and director Akira Kurosawa's 8 films featured on Letterboxd's top 250 narrative features list. The film we are discussing today is the 4th film by Kurosawa I have seen, so I invite you to watch his movies alongside me and come back to hear my thoughts. I'd love to hear yours in the comment section. On today's episode, we are discussing Redbeard. Kurosawa's Redbeard, released in 1965, is a film centered around young Dr. Noboru Yasumoto, who leads an arrogant and privileged life. He is assigned to work at a rural clinic under head Dr. Kaijo Nai, better known as Redbeard. Over the course of the film, Yasumoto gradually loses his self-interest and becomes more self-aware about social injustice. This film had critics divided upon its release. Some said the film felt like a soap opera that is far too long, while others say it's a masterpiece. This is the last film with actor-director duo Kurosawa and Toshiro Mifune, which was due to Kurosawa's long production schedule. This caused Mifune to turn down many other films and TV shows. Redbeard is ranked 134 on Letterboxd and is the longest movie by Kurosawa I have seen thus far. The blocking cinematography is once again beautiful. No one shot stands out in this movie due to all shots being consistently stellar and well thought out. This consistency in shots across the entire film provides a great viewing experience for the audience and helps set the tone. Kurosawa proves again that his blocking is top tier. I love how he layers the characters within a frame. It provides the audience with an almost POV of the character's environment, like you're in the room with them. Many of the scenes in this film are just dialogue between 2 or more characters. While you would think some framing of the shots and scenes would become repetitive, they don't. Kurosawa does a great job of mixing up how to shoot a scene with diverse blocking and composition within each scene. The structure of the story is something else that is interesting in this film. It opens with Yasumoto arriving at the clinic and resenting his new job, after establishing his character along with Redbeard's and the other side characters. In the second act of the film, the character of Sanchi, an important man within the clinic due to his ethos and care for others, dies. I was almost taken aback when we saw his backstory and the story about his wife. I was wondering why this was necessary to the film and the character development of the main characters. It was not until later that I realized this moment when Yasumoto watches over Sanchi as he dies, along with all his friends from the clinic. Yasumoto starts to understand the trials that the poor and sick have to go through and their compassion for one another. After this moment, the film begins to focus on Yasumoto and Otoyo. Otoyo is a patient with severe trauma after being rescued from a brothel, in which Yasumoto is to care for her. The film almost comes to a halt in these 2 moments, which again caught me off guard. But these moments are integral to the character development of Yasumoto and his journey in becoming a more self-aware, empathetic person, which leads me to the realism in this film. One thing I appreciate about this film is how real and genuine it feels, and it starts with the film's set and location. The set was intended to be as historically accurate as possible, and according to film historian Donald Ritchie, the main set of the film was an entire town with back alleys and side streets, some of which were never filmed. This realism in the set and the attention to detail makes this film more heartfelt and genuine. Something else that feels super realistic is the character development of Yasumoto. Like I said, our first impression of Yasumoto is that he is selfish, privileged, and doesn't do his duty as a doctor to care for the sick. He refuses to participate in helping patients and won't even wear his work uniform. He then slowly starts to realize his behavior and corrects it. After Sanchi dies, Yasumoto decides to change his ways and start accepting his role and the people he has to treat. In my opinion, this development in his character is super well paced and accurate to how people change their perspective. In some films, a main character's development or the change in their perspective feels rushed and doesn't even seem like the same character after their redemption or fall. But in Redbeard, Kurosawa and his co-writers do a great job of writing a character's natural shift in perspective. The main themes that stood out to me in this film was pride and perspective. Yasumoto is introduced as a very prideful man who believes he is above the clinic. Like mentioned, he doesn't comply with the rules and even breaks them in a form of protest. After Yasumoto meets and learns from Redbeard, He is less prideful and shows some motivation to help the patients. Another reason why Yasumoto shifts his perspective is due to the stories he's told by Redbeard and the patients themselves. After hearing the troubling story of a patient and then being told to watch over another as he dies, Yasumoto changes his attitudes towards the patients, which begins his character's arc. Throughout the rest of the film, Yasumoto begins complying with Redbeard's rules, he begins to care for the patients, and he begins to broaden his perspective. I think the main lesson to take from this film is that if people remain ignorant and or prideful to others and their experiences, they will forever remain in their warped view of the world.
現在我々にできることは貧困と無知に対する戦いだ。それによって医術の不足を補うほかはない。それは政治の問題だというのだ。誰でもそう言って済ましている。だがこれまで政治が貧困と無知に対して何かしたことがあるか。人間を貧困と無知のままにしておいてはならんという法令が一度でも出たことがあるか。
しかしこの養生所という設備はそのために幕府の費用で。
前よりはあった方がいい。しかし問題はもっと前にある。貧困と無知さえ何とかできれば病気の大半は起こらずに済むんだ。
I rated this film 4 stars on Letterboxd and would recommend it to anyone wanting to watch a complex film that touches on multiple themes like pride, perspective, but also about class system and social justice. Let me know your thoughts on Redbeard and join me next week where we'll be watching and discussing Throne of Blood, another samurai epic and ranked 169 on Letterboxd. Thank you.